actually needed more table surface. I've been doing some sheet sewing, and I'm not going out and spending the most amount of money on the most high-end, historically accurate kind of materials. I just think that's more discouraging than it is encouraging for people to do their own DIY and get into their own type of sewing. So I like sheets. I think they're a great way to practice. These are actually some blue sheets that got tore up in the wash that I've been using as scraps. I actually used a bunch of this to make just some crib bedding, some crib sheets, and like some burp cloths, because, I mean, if it gets ruined, so what? I think probably because it's so stretched and so threadbare, these maybe aren't good practice sheets. But I have this other, for some reason, I have a bunch of these types of blue sheets that I absolutely adore for mock-ups and practice. I think when people are new to sewing, go to the thrift store, get a bunch of sheets, tablecloth curtains for a couple dollars a piece, and, you know, practice. I was looking for some horse print material for my sister. She has, if you've seen some of my jewelry posts, actually I made some horse charmed jewelry for her Hit the Stars horse program that she runs. So I wanted something that was nice, and recently unicorns are back in vogue. A lot of the materials were all unicorn, and that wasn't what I wanted. And this was just cotton sheet. I made her a blouse, which of course did I take pictures of the blouse? No, I did not. A blouse, a scarf, and I think a matching mask. And this is a little sheer, perhaps. I don't know if you can kind of see. Well, you can really see when I'm wearing black underneath of it. So I did line it with a nice brown satin that kind of brought in this kind of darker horse color. This was the pattern that I used for the blouse. As you can see, it was 25 cents. And I did modify it, obviously somewhat. I made it short sleeve, and rather than a drawstring top, it was just a gathered elastic top. And I didn't have it so long. But I liked the blouse so much that I decided I wanted to make one for myself. I actually probably should do a whole separate video. Here's where there's part of the blouse, and then of course when this is all gathered, you get that nice kind of peasant. Now everybody's obsessed, you know, with cottagecore. I'm old enough to remember when it was just called peasant, you know? But something lightweight that I could wear in the spring when I am wearing occasionally some blue accents, that I feel like it's just a hint of color that matches the black. So we'll see. Just wanted to show a little up close of where I am with this Disney blanket. I was going to sit and chat, and so, but I can't pay attention to what I'm doing at the same time, because as you can see, I have to do some binding here on the edge, and I have to make sure when I'm stitching that I'm getting this piece of the tape and the other side of the tape at the same time, so I don't want to mess up. And I'm also have to catch several layers of the material. This was an odd Disney sheet. I think it was like a toddler size that I found at the thrift store for $4, I think. I'm losing so many pins. I have so many pins in place. I unpicked the finished seams to give myself a few more inches of blankets, and it's pretty sizable actually for a baby blanket. I asked my niece what she needed, some curtains, some kind of cute little dress, and she said, well, she needed more blankets. So I unpicked the hem to get the maximum size and folded it over with some of the natural cotton batting. So this is pretty thick, actually. It has a good texture to it. It's kind of a nice soft warm blanket, but where I had unpicked, you're dealing with the raw sides of the sheet. So some of it was a little uneven when you go to fold over and finish it again. And I did baste the cotton batting to one side of the sheet so it would stay in place. Can you see here through one of my spots? Woo! Lovely camera work here, right, everybody? You can
kind of see, as I'm not used to working with white. I just went through with a white basting stitch to hold that cotton batting inside. But then because it was a little out of square uneven, I decided, well, I need to go around the whole exterior trim with some binding. But of course, did I have any pretty cute baby friendly colored ribbons and bias tape? Of course not. I had black, which, you know what? I said, hey, guess what? Black matches Mickey's ears. So that all works out. There is one spot. See, I also still need to finish each of these corners. I'll do them in kind of a mitered corner, which I'll actually cut the excess here and just fold under to get my little nice mitered shape. I'm not worried about doing it super meticulously fancy. But there was one spot already where I kind of messed up. There we go. You can see here, if you can see. I left it marked with my pin where I actually did not catch the sheet here when I went through with the binding. So I'll have to unpick that little area and do that over again. But I like the way it looks with the black binding. It gives it just a nice finished trim. It doesn't look like it's just some kind of scrap of fabric, some kind of odd piece. So I have like 1.5 sides left to finish, and I wanted to just discuss it a little bit. Another sheet sewing project before I actually give it to my niece. So I have to finish one side and the corners. And all total, this maybe took a couple hours over 2 or 3 days. Probably could be done in one day if you needed it to be. I just took my time. So I enjoy doing things that are affordable. I have no idea. I can't imagine how much it would have cost to have real Disney bedding, or, you know, franchise designer materials are expensive, you know. So this is a blanket that she will get a lot of use out of this. So I'm glad. And I kind of made it a little dark and sophisticated, because that's just what I do. This was more of the sheets sewing that I was talking about. I did Disney, and these were Minecraft sheets. I'm in the game room here, actually. It's late, so I hope the lighting is all right for you to see, but it was the first time I was able to, there's my shadow. It's the first time I was able to be in here without somebody camping out here on the beanbag that I made. So this was an odd twin sheet that I got at the thrift store. I think it was $4. And we needed curtains in here. There was some glaring light on some of the different equipment and on some of the computer screens. So again, I took the seam out of the sheet, if you can see here, to get the maximum width possible. And even with an ironing here, you could still see a little bit of the line and some of the little needle puncture points from where there was previous thread. But it may seem strange, but that few inches does make a little bit of a difference. And if you can see without my shadow, I do wish there was more fabric just to be a little more full. But also curtains, even when you buy them, and you know how they have that fold from being in the package, and it takes them a little while just to hang and to drape properly. So these have been up for a little while, and they are starting to drape pretty nicely. I was worried that these corners at the ends that I did here would be out of square or wouldn't fall right, but they seem to drape quite nicely. And I think this was 60 inches, I want to say. It wasn't quite like the 63 or 65 for the type of standard window curtain, but that's okay. I was working with the material I had, and the windows, there's 2 windows in this room. They're at different heights, these windows. So rather than fighting with one window or worrying about sort of making like a cafe curtain or a valance or something, I just made 4 of the same. It was easy to cut the fabric in 4 panels that I needed, and then just hem up the sides. Sorry you can't see, there's not much light in this room because it's designed for gaming, and I just went through with a regular running stitch. Maybe you can see better over here. It could be done by machine, but again, I wanted to make sure that I was getting the back seam as nice as possible as well, just for my own sanity, instead of worrying about the tension on my thread, because this was 100% cotton sheet, but it was very light, and so I didn't want to have jamming issues and have to worry about unpicking it and repeatedly redoing this seam, especially after you can see how that old stitch line is still there. So I just did a small sort of running stitch, and every so often did a back stitch when I needed a new thread. And of course, when you're making curtains, you always have to make a rod pocket, and this is just the standard kind of metal pocket, so it was easy just to fold that over for a couple inches. So this is something cute and fun that matches the room, and was just an easy thrift find to make use. My videoing here, okay, is what is total crap, but I think the curtains worked out pretty nicely. Wow, I don't know if you can even see this. This is the other curtain. This little inlet is very dark here at night, apparently. It's a nice, cozy little play spot. This window was getting a lot of morning glare that would come in here on the desk here, so it was difficult to see the screen to work in the office. So this one also needed a curtain, and I didn't line these, as you could see, obviously better with the other one. I did not line these. I could go back and line them, but they worked out really great in diffusing the light. I think that probably is because of the gray coloring, but this window was a little wider, and that's where I wish some of that more fullness kind of came in. If I was choosing to do this project, I probably would have gotten a full sheet set, but this was one odd twin sheet, and I've made some really cute curtains that you kind of can't see. I did want to mention also that I have finished the crib, and the baby niece visitor has actually slept in here a few times, and this was just, again, the flannel sheets, the same that I used to go with the reupholstering the carriage, and this was just straight natural polyfill. I didn't go for any crazy fillings because this is all baby. I wanted it to be extra nice and soft, and if you can see some of the ties here amid all the cat toys and the baby toys, these were the end scraps that I just folded over and just did, you know, some quick little fell stitches just to make ties, just to be able to tie everything around in the corners. And the long pieces, I also did a mid tie. And this was an extra piece, woo, the last piece that I just made into just one nice padded, nice with the natural cotton batting kind of blankie. And again, some of these little smaller scrap pieces, I think one of these might have been a pillowcase that I just did for any kind of little plain little sheet. So it's just a little bit of, I don't know, natural kind of classiness. I mean, as you can see, I have to share with a little bit of Disney. So it's nice to just have a touch of something unique and different that kind of ties in with the location. And baby niece has shown an interest in animals anyway, so haha.